Go on with it, go on with it. Blessings all for my life, man. My thank God for the journey, the earnings, and just for the plus. Gratitude is a must. See blessings fall by my right hand.
Guys, and welcome to my commentary channel. It's your favorite mystic, TheSirenSayz. Welcome back to my channel where we speak about movie, TV, and books, and everything that I like, dislike, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything all throughout and in between those frames of media. Now, just to plug with my videos, if you want a really good story, please check out my minimal spoiler telling of my favorite book series of all time. First book video will be linked down below. You see a picture of it on the screen here. Boop. Anyways, today we're going to talk about Arcane. I just want to say, for the non-spoiler section, I absolutely love this show and I always have. Normally I get a feeling in my spirit if a show is going to fall off based on what I'm seeing. It's not, you know, it's not extraterrestrial. It's not like I don't even have to watch a season and I know. Like, no. Usually there are little tells, but it's also a feeling. Because you can get little tells where, you know, you don't like where a storyline is going, but you keep watching anyway, depending. I usually have these tells for shows that I think are really good. So I'm not going to have them for like trashy shows. But if I'm watching a show and I put it up there in my rankings, then my spirit gets attuned to it and I get feelings on whether or not the writing is gonna be up to snuff. I had similar feelings with Umbrella Academy, The Boys, Doom Patrol, the TV show. They were top tier shows in the beginning to me, but they fell off a little writing wise and I was able to feel that. Arcane did not give me that feeling. What annoyed me was that I knew that they were going to only make it be 2 seasons and I didn't want that, only because I felt like the story was too rich to be shortened. And it was so rich that the only way that they could have ruined it is by rushing it. And I've heard people say that they don't necessarily love the ending. They like the show, but they don't love the ending because they felt like it was too rushed, and that's what I was complaining about. However, they plan to do a number of spin-offs, so maybe we might see a character we remember or two, but I think it's kind of unlikely only because it took a lot of money to make this show. The other shows might be a little lower budget, so we're not going to see Mel Medarda in full glory or whoever else you might want to see, Vi in full glory or whatever. Like, we might not see any of those characters whether they survive this season or not in other shows. Like, that's probably not gonna happen. So spoiler warning, there's gonna be lots of spoilers in this. I waited a while to make this video, so hopefully you guys should have seen it already. I was gonna try to do a non-spoilery thing, but all I could really say was that I like the show. That's as non-spoilery as I can get. I made a barrage of notes and I want to talk about everything. It's just gonna be a straightforward video. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be speaking mostly on the last 3 episodes because it's closing up all of the arcs. Okay? I'm gonna try to see what I can say about the first 2 parts of the first 6 episodes. But other than that, most of my talkings will be about the culmination of the arcs that were started in the first 2 parts of the season. Okay? Anyways, please stick around. This is going to be a very positive video. We might not agree on everything. This show was very well done, but people are still getting angry and disagreeing on things because that's just human nature. You're not going to agree with everything that somebody else says. Alright? So, let's start with the first 2 parts of the season. I really did like it. I enjoyed that we started off exactly where we left off. What happened when the council got blown up by Jinx. We saw the aftermath. We saw who was unalived, who passed, and survived. And for the most part, whoever survived the Jinx blast may survive by the end of the season. I thought it was really interesting, the time skip, everything that was going on. Kate was justified in her anger. We're not gonna argue about that. Do I like everything that she did? Absolutely not, but we will discuss that. Okay, we will discuss that in short form, short mention. This is just a part about the first two chapters. I'm just gonna run through it really quickly because I really want to talk about the ending. Let's talk about Kate. Her gassing the town. A lot of people would say, okay, she was smart for doing that, and I understand why you would say that, but she's just re-victimizing. Everything that she did was slowly re-victimizing Zahn, and she didn't see it that way because all she could think was, I need to get Jinx in a cell somewhere, and I'm gonna do it by any means necessary. I'm not, court-martialing people and doing head pew-pews or whatever, head nerfs, right? Nerf is my code word for pew-pew, okay? Not doing head nerfs, but she was showing the people martial law, showing the people that they can be taken over by Piltover. They're not their own nation. They can be taken over, which led to the uprisings. I can understand why Vi followed her. To a certain extent. To me, it's all about the level of hypocrisy that you want to walk into. Like, Vi, if you want to join Caitlyn, do what you gotta do, bro. But when Jinx calls you out on it, don't come to her like, but you're a crazy BITC, and you've hurt a lot of people. And the team that you decided to join to find her also hurt a lot of people. So pot meet kettle, essentially, you know? Yes, personally, I am a Jinx lover, so there may be biases here and there. I'm not gonna deny that. I think it's less hypocritical if you admit that there's gonna be a bias than pretend that there's no bias. I like anti-heroes and villains a lot. And I also like heroes if they're very well written, so I like Vi too. Just to continue on quickly, I understand Kate moved on with Irish Ginge. I think her name is Maddie. Maddie is Irish Ginge. Understandable. Very much understandable. After everything went south, they found Jinx, they fought, and Caitlyn, let's talk about that fight for 5 seconds, right? Caitlyn was shaky because she was mad. She doesn't like Jinx. She's upset. She's floundering. But I am of the opinion that she wasn't ready to take the shot. And a lot of people who are pretending she was ready to take the shot, you guys just didn't mind if Aisha got hurt or died. But let's be for real. If Aisha got hurt or unalived, she would have just become the next Jinx. And the cycle would continue. So like they said in that episode, unaliving is a cycle. Okay? Now, I'm not gonna blame Caitlyn for wanting to take a shot, but we as the viewers gotta be so for real. Just because somebody wanted to do something doesn't mean that they were completely right. And yes, I know people are like, oh, why did Vi switch up? Because a child was involved. Now, you could say that maybe she wouldn't have switched up child or no child, and there is an argument for that. But unfortunately, the writers decided to give Vi an excuse by introducing Aisha into the mix. Okay? Now just to go over Jinx's character for a little bit. Absolutely loved her this season. Her walkthrough, everybody is looking for her. People are starting to idolize her. She has essentially become a martyr for the cause because of martial law being brought on Zahn by Piltover. And you can see the introduction of Aisha, and you know, Aisha being run down by the Cogs from Toontown, and the Cogs catch her and see Jinx, and I love the visual storytelling in this show because they see Jinx and they immediately get a little scared. Now I know they could say it's not because she's awesome, it's because she's crazy and she could murder anybody. I understand. But that's still a presence that she has that she's so dangerous that people are afraid of her. And I really like that. I like that for our little baddie. I like that. I really appreciated Aisha's point of view of Jinx, that she understood immediately that Jinx was somebody that she should be around because she felt like Jinx would be able to protect her. And that is the beginning of a very sad story. Love that Jinx had that moment with Savika, because Savika's trying to talk with the lower level gang members and it's not working out. She meets up with Jinx. They have a very sweet heart to heart, and they both realize that they've been looking at each other wrong for a long time. That they may not have liked each other and they may not always agree, but they were on the same side. No matter how many times Jinx messed up, she was on Silco's side. And no matter how brute and brash Savika was, one thing she not gonna do is turn on a gang member. That's why she kept asking Silco, right? During the show's run, she kept asking Silco to get rid of Jinx, because it's only the leader, it's only the boss who can get rid of the henchmen. She can't murder a henchman without Silco say so. She's loyal to that fault. So now that Silco is gone, she's not going to murder any of these guys. Now they just have to stick together. It's them against Piltover, and so she's not going to hurt Jinx either. And I really appreciate that solidarity. It really shows her character and makes her a lot more likable, in my personal opinion. So her, Aisha, and Savika form a little family where Savika knows where Jinx is. Aisha and Jinx hang out all the time. Aisha wants Jinx to be the face of the revolution, and Jinx does not want to do that because she doesn't want to mess anything up. After everything that happened with her sister, she's tired. She's tired of messing around. She's tired of being involved in all of this mess. Very understandable. Now to move on to Vi. Vi has been going through it over and over and over again. She's very much a tragic heroine, and I don't know, it's bordering on a boo-boo. A boo-boo stands for A-B-U-S-E, don't forget it, okay? You feel sorry for her when she's there with Kate. I'm sorry, you feel sorry for her then, because how must it have felt in her head to don that uniform, bro? How must it have felt? Like, as cool as the scenes were and the transition of them using the smoke as a cover to as cool as that might have been, I know she was fighting demons in her head wearing that outfit. And worse, to have Jinx call it out twice. And just to bring back up something that Jinx said in the first season, when she saw her with Kate, she said, "Why are you hanging out with one of them? Are you becoming one of them?" And now in this season, that was realized. She became one of them because she felt like that was the only way. It didn't end well. She saw that maybe Powder could be saved because she saw how Powder was with Aisha. But because she decided to save Jinx, Kate felt betrayed. Because like what all of you will say in the comments, you said I could take the shot, why you let me take the shot? You're always going to pick her, thought you were different. They had a big breakup, causes Kate and Vi to spiral in different ways. Kate spirals and is open to the manipulations of Ambessa and the council. Vi spirals and is open to the manipulation of vices, drinks, sleeping around, and fighting. So you get to see that metaphorical dichotomy of the two of them, two sides of the same coin, or two sides of the same boat, nuts and bolts. We saw the Victor imagery all throughout this season as well. Just to bring up Victor as well, since we're bringing up the first part of the season before the last part, Victor gets hurt. Jace decides to put him into a merger with the Hex Corps. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. If you are a Jace supporter in terms of you don't think he had any fault in this season and he did everything he was supposed to do, you might not like this video. Am I going to give Jace his 10s in terms of things that I agree with and things that he was right about? Sure. But do I have some if and buts or maybes in store for him before the last scene where I have to say what I have to say? Yes. And yes, I saw the 9th episode and it did not change my mind. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Anyways, so Jace merges him with the Hex Core. And I just want to say this before we get into the Jace stuff too heavily. Remember in the Echo episode, kind of like it's the first time, how, you know, Jace is either murdered by the blast or in jail. And as long as Powder decides not to touch the crystals or do anything with the crystals, everything is fine. Everybody keeps on mentioning how, oh, the only peaceful world is a world without violence. No. Look at it more closely. The more peaceful world is a world where Jace does not have any of the arcane stones. Think about that again. Where Jace does not have any of the arcane stones. Now I know you're thinking to yourself, what about Victor? Look, Victor time looped himself because he knew he couldn't trust himself. But think about this particular time that we're in. Okay? This time could have been exactly like the time that Jace was thrown into. Because they were going in the very same direction. He was in the exact same pose, but it wasn't Boy Savior, right? What was the difference, though? When he first met Victor, it was the first time Victor had ever seen any of the arcane stuff. So, Jace is a part of this. Jace is the catalyst. I'm not saying it's all Jace's fault, but we're not going to remove Jace from the equation like all of you are doing. I remember Jace even saying that, oh, Victor, this is all you. It has nothing to do with me. Lies. Victor took it too far. Victor took it way too far, but Jace, it does have something to do with you. Because he never would have found those stones if it was for you. Where'd you even find all those stones? Giving him a break. Now, just to skip through Ambessa using Kate. Don't really have to talk too much about that right now. It was pretty cut and dry. But remember this, she says, be very mindful and careful when fraternizing with people you work with. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, said it much cooler than that. Alright? Now, let's get on to the second part, right? The disgusting Dr. Revik, aka Singed, has been working on Vander, putting his consciousness into that of a wolf called Warwick from the League of Legends games. I've never played them, but I know a tiny bit, a very minute amount of lore from the games, right? I think I knew from like last year or the year before that Vander was originally a wolf. So once I saw the wolf imagery in the first two episodes, I was like, oh, that's Vander. They're gonna bring Vander in as this wolf guy, right? So I already knew about that. I think the scene where it happened, beautiful scene. Very beautiful. Singed is a very smart character. You know, I appreciate smart characters to a certain extent, right? So, they're all at the rally. They all get picked up. Singed is not scared at all because he has an agenda. And you know what? I don't think I really wrote much about that agenda, so I'm just going to bring it in here. Singed's whole agenda is that he wants to be funded so that he can fix his daughter. He needs access to arcane substances, mutations, and money. And he finds a way to get all three of those things so that by the end of this season, he gets his daughter back. Who won? Singed won this entire game, and I don't like that. I respect it. I respect his hustle, but dang, it is not so unsatisfying when you see his cyborgian daughter looking at the ballerina music box. I was like, oh, you got everything you wanted, didn't you? Ew. He was able to play Ambessa, play Victor, and use Vander to get everything that he wanted to wake his daughter up. He is the real genius of this show, the real winner. Heimerdinger should have ended this man's entire life, for real, because what he did to Vander is a federal crime, and I will never forgive him for that, ever in my life. Now, just to continue, Heimerdinger meets up with Echo because they see an anomaly on the trees, so the trees are dying, meet up with Jace. They confront him. Jace is already on his too close to Erder vibe. Then they get sucked into the anomaly and they travel. It is not time travel. They went to alternate dimensions, right? So now we can get to the fun part. This video's gonna be a little long, but it's cool. It's Arcane. It's the last Arcane video we're ever gonna see, right? So, to go into the last 3 episodes, I had so much to say. Let's get into it. Echo wakes up in an almost perfect world with Benzo alive, Vander alive, Milo and Clagger alive, and Jinx is not crazy. Well, let me not say that. Jinx is now Powder. That's all we can say. We can't really say she's not crazy because we don't know, right? And I want to take this moment to say, I'm going to say his personal headcanon with a little bit of facts. Echo has always liked Jinx. Let me explain. When I watched the first season and I saw their infamous bridge fight, I thought to myself, this is really cool. But when Jinx was crying and she was, feigning being hurt to trip him up to gain the upper hand, you could see it in his eyes. It wasn't just, oh no, she's crying. It was, oh no, Powder is crying. He is in love with her, but he is willing to do what has to be done. Like, he was willing to unalive her for the cause. But if he could see what Vi saw, which is that, Powder was still in there or whatever, he most definitely would have done everything that he could to save her. Which is why this episode was very important for him, because he saw that Jinx could be saved. And he also finally understands Jinx. Guys, it was such a beautiful episode, and it was so good for me to see. So, in this universe, Echo is already dating Powder. They're already a thing. And it takes a while for him to warm up for very obvious reasons. He does not trust this woman. Why should he? Right? They have always been on opposing sides ever since what happened with Vander. And on the flip side, we see Jace in the Hell Dimension. We see Jace in what our world would have looked like if Echo wasn't in this dimension. So them, Heimerdinger, and Echo confronting Jace was the catalyst for the saving of this dimension. Because if they did not travel to another universe and get the time travel technology, Victor would have won. That's what I believe personally. Okay, because the time travel tech was an anomaly to Victor. Victor was like, this should not even be here. What is that? Because in every other universe, this thing could be winning. So, I think Jace ate part of his leg in that really weird scene. I can't quantify whether he did or not, but I think he did. Echo has a beautiful scene with Powder, or Powder in this universe, okay, where he speaks to her and she's feeling down about herself, down about her skills. But he explains to her, right, that even if it's not what he would like, that he sees how brilliant she is. And he's not even talking about her because he don't know her. He's talking about Jinx. He's saying that you might not help other people with their inventions, but your inventions change the world. Finally understanding her, finally grasping onto who she is, whether he likes it or not. I thought that was super insightful and beautiful of him to say. They don't need to be together, but the fact that the writer decided to show that at this time, he's throwing away his anger at her and he actually understands her right now. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Master work. This show is excellent. Now, oh my god. So, Echo convinces Powder to help. And it wasn't always smooth sailing because he thought Powder was like Jinx. He was blaming her for Vi's unaliving in that universe, which really annoyed me because, like, bro, this is obviously not your universe. Do you think somebody's tricking you? Don't talk to her like that. Like, I got defensive, but I let it go quickly. I let it go quickly because I got it. And he apologized to her by making the beautiful mural of Vi. Now, I feel like one thing that was very interesting was that Heimerdinger was there for like about 2 to 3 years. waiting on Echo to arrive. And while he was waiting on Echo, he spent a lot of time around the people, helping them with inventions, making the place better. Heimerdinger, let's be real with Heimerdinger for a second, right? Because everybody loves him and they're like, he was right the whole time. He was right to a certain extent. He was right about Hextech, right? But why didn't he do anything to solve the problems or to help with the problems in the Undercity with Zahn? Can we talk about that? Because it's a little weird to me. I like Heimerdinger, but I thought about it later and I was just like, it's almost like you didn't realize the Undercity could be saved until you were in there. I think it's so interesting that happens in real life too, where people cannot empathize until they are thrust into somebody's shoes, until they're outcasted, until they are othered, until they become a minority. Like, let's say you're someone who is a fast runner. You don't have any respect for disabled people until you get in a car crash and you lose your leg. But that's the only time you could ever sympathize with somebody like that. Once you go through it, that's so interesting to me. We gotta do better as people, I have to be honest with you. Now, just to skip forward, we had the beautiful moments. He's falling in love with her all over again, realizing that maybe if he goes back, he can convince her to help him. Because the fact that he got her means that she also liked him. And I do think that Jinx likes Echo, but it's not as serious as it was for him. I don't think she has a huge crush on him, but I feel like one of the reasons that Powder was comfortable enough to be in a relationship with Echo is because even though Vi was gone, she at least had Vander and she had Silco. She still had Vander there to give her proper guidance and to stop her from completely losing her mind, which allowed her the comfortability to see people in a new light, including Echo. Alright, so Heimerdinger sees, while they're making the anomaly, because, Echo is a genius. They're all geniuses over there. Powder, Heimerdinger, Echo, they can literally make any weapon at this point. They are the ultimate team, and I love seeing them together. Heimerdinger notices that he's not going to make it out of this, so he says his goodbyes to Echo and sacrifices himself to make the machine work. Don't even talk about Powder and his kiss, because everybody's already talking about it. It's so cute. Jinx is left a little bit traumatized, but also understanding that that wasn't really him, it was another version of him. So that might be weird. Then we also see her putting the gift that he put away in the Vi cabinet. In that cabinet is also all the other shards of the Arcane stones. Meaning she had all of them and she never did anything with them. She never experimented, never did anything. And that is also one of the reasons why this world didn't end up the way that our world did. It was because Jace is now locked up and or unalive, but also because Powder decided not to do anything with it. She decided to hide it away. Okay, so Black Rose is trying to recruit Mel so they can take out Ambessa. I want to go into a rant about Ambessa right now, but we're not going to. Not yet. We'll get there. Right? Singe's evil behind uses Warwick to save Victor. I was so mad. I was like, why are you showing me this? What? Why you gotta end this man's life 3 different times in this show? What? Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Anyways. So, before he uses Warwick, Victor has a confrontation with Mel and Jace. Okay, they have a confrontation. But before that confrontation, right before, Jace is going at Mel. Why didn't you save everybody else in the council? Jace, shut up! Shut up, please. He does this thing where he can't see where he went wrong. It's always something else went wrong. When the child was unalive in the last season, was it your fault? Let me stop. I'm sure he blames up for that one. Because it was so obviously your fault. Whenever he thinks he can push the blame off on somebody else, it always goes to catastrophe. Jace only fixes things when he takes accountability for his actions. Do y'all notice that? As soon as he takes accountability for his role in something, he fixes it. But as soon as he starts thinking he gonna push the blame off on somebody else, disaster ensues. No wonder him and Victor get along so well. Just causing issues, bro. Anyways, Victor pulls up after he decides to apologize to Mel a little bit. And Victor's on his last leg. Now let me discuss what my issue with Jace is. We're gonna go back and forth a little bit here. Follow me. We know that in episode 9, Victor is the one who sent Jace back to their dimension to stop him because they would have ended up exactly like the world he was in. That's the trajectory they were all going into, okay? So, he goes back, finds Victor. At the time, Victor was trying to save Vander, and I didn't really talk about it because I want to talk about it here. Victor was good at this point. Misguided, but a good person beneath that. And let me explain what I mean by that, right? Yes, they were all husks of people. He didn't realize he was doing that. If he had realized what he was doing, he would have stopped. And how do I know that? How do you know that, Siren? Because of exactly what happened in the finale. Everybody wants to blame Ambessa for all the bloodshed, but she's not the only one who was involved. Jace was also involved in starting a war with Victor. All he had to do, because at the time Jace was willing to talk to him, Victor was willing to talk to Jace. Victor literally said, "Come find me, we talk in person." He had just come back. Now, I know people are going to say, well, he was woozy. He didn't fully remember what Victor was saying, so he couldn't just hug him. He had to go nerfs blazing. No, he did not. He went in there, pew-pewed that man, nerfed that man in the chest, and then wondered how he lost the little humanity he had left and decided to turn everybody into automatons and took over Piltover. How did that happen? Jace. He was the catalyst that helped Victor with all the technology, and then he was the one who destroyed the last of that man's humanity. Now let me say what humanity was there. Singed came and tried to convince him to use Warwick to heal himself because his magic is finite and he would have died with all the people he was quote-unquote helping. We know at this point he wasn't really helping people. He was kind of helping them, but it wasn't real help because allegedly they're not alive anymore. That's what people are saying, right? Okay, well, he thought he was helping them. He said that Vander is more important than his life, and he is not going to take Vander's life just to help his own. He literally said that. You think if Jace came to him and said, "Look, I just saw you in a parallel universe. Hug me, touch me, look into my hands, something, so you can see what you're going to do if you continue on this path. If you keep healing people, if you keep grabbing more power, you're going to get more hungry for it, and this is what is going to happen to you." Because remember, everybody wants to blame Victor for everything, but remember when Victor said destroy the Hex Core and Jace said nah, and then merged it with him? Remember that. This is not me saying that Victor's always right. He's not. But Victor realized what was happening and tried to stop it. And then Jace, the fire star that he is, kept going without him because he thought it was the right thing to do. Remember that. So he comes back. Let's give you his excuse up there. He's a little woozy from coming back. He's not in his right mind. He nerfs Victor in the chest, essentially cutting off the part of him, cutting off his connection to Sky, because he stops talking to Sky after he gets nerfed by Jace. You realize that, right? And Sky is either there because she's mixing with the Hex Core after her explosion, or she's just a metaphor and a visualization of the good side of him, the grounded side of him, the side of him that's a conscience, right? So he's not looking at the Sky version of him anymore. After he gets nerfed by Jace, he's thinking, alright, maybe Singed had a point. Maybe I need to upgrade myself and force my fixing on people. Victor wrong for that, but who pushed him to that. Like, Singe came and gave him the scientific psychobabble, and it didn't work. Jace pushed him to the edge, and he was walking there. I'm not saying he would never have gotten there. He was walking there, but Jace sped it along. Okay, thank you. Now, because of that, he doesn't care anymore about Vander, and he tells Singe to use Warwick's blood and stuff to upgrade him. They get upgraded, and all of his deceased followers become android cyborg automatons, whatever. Now, within that battle, the battle that enabled Singe and Ambessa to meet up with Victor and get him on their side, Aisha passes. Obviously, you know I wouldn't want to get into that in big detail. So, because of that, Jinx delivers herself to the police, and she is on Unalive Myself watch. It was so sad, depressing, beautiful, heartbreaking. It just made so much sense. How much more can she take? A lot of people have loved to blame Jinx for everything in the first season, and I partially understand, but also a lot of those things were happening to her as well. She was walking in the path of destruction and not realizing it, thinking she was helping, but making things worse. You know, her and Jace have a lot of parallels. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. Anyways, she goes around burning down all the places that reminds her of the lives that she's ruined that she really cared about. Then goes back to her little hideout to go end herself, delete herself. But Echo is back, and he stops her, saves her, and convinces her not to end her own life. We love Echo for that, sincerely. Now, Victor has completely chosen up and is with Ambessa against Jace. I think this is a good move. I like a villainous character. I got spoiled because everybody kept saying can't wait for Victor's villain arc. So no matter how Messiah-like he was acting, we all knew this was coming. But I really did enjoy his villain arc. It was so satisfying to watch him fighting with Jace in the council room, him upgrading himself, the fight that happened in episode 9. It was all, I was screaming, I was so happy. And not because I wanted him to win. I didn't want him to win, but the journey was fun. It was fun. And I could understand why Victor was doing what he was doing in terms of, yeah, I can see how your delusions of grandeur are growing here. I can see why you think this is the right thing to do. And if nobody stops you, we're all effed. So, Loris, the Vander stand-in, he is gone. The blue-haired dread woman, she's gone. Let's just get rid of all the people who will be gone, who don't matter, right? After Kate helps or tries to help Vi with Vander and it fails, then she starts pushing Maddie away. Now, I'm not gonna say, okay, so I have a question, please answer down below. Was Maddie always a setup by Ambessa, or did she become a setup because she could tell that Kate was falling for Vi again, so she was like, F you, B, since you're going back on me, I'm gonna go join them? Because it could be either one. It could be either one. Now also, just to continue, Vi is convinced that Jinx has changed, because she has, alright. Victor, and this is what made me very happy about Victor's character, okay? There is a scene where Victor actually confirms that all of this is because of Jace, that Jace started this. So before y'all say, oh my god, you're screaming about Jace, Victor confirmed it, right? He may not always be right, but he's not gonna lie. Okay, just saying. Alright? I really did love Victor's villain arc, just to say it again. I loved his villain arc so much. It was so fun. Alright? I thought it was really sad when he had to give up Sky to evolve. And the way that he was like, thank you for being here with me, I'll miss our talks. And she said, no, you won't. I still don't know what that means. Please explain to me what that means down below if you know, or with your best guesses. I love the mental conversation that Silco had with Jinx. Killing isn't mercy, it's a cycle. So many metaphorical bars in this season, and I loved every single one of them. All right. When Vi wakes up from the crash, she hears what happened to Jinx. She gets mad at Kate, understandably, you know, because like, look, she's changed. What is you want, girl? Goes down there. She finally accepts Jinx for who she is. Like, look, do what you gotta do. Just do it on our side. But by this time, Jinx has given up on herself, but that was a little before she got saved by King Echo. Alright? Now, Jace gives Mel a pep talk because she's feeling down. She doesn't know who she is anymore. She's having a complete crisis of character, which makes sense. Because she's a mage, which I loved that. I loved that progression of character for her. I'm just gonna say it here. I loved all the black characters. Like, done well is an understatement. Excellent. Every single black character is top tier, no matter which side they were on. And I absolutely loved all of that. So sorry. Yeah, so Mel goes to confront Ambessa. That was a really deep and powerful scene, and I loved it so much. I thought it was interesting. You know, we got to see a deeper side to Ambessa in that moment, because she was saying, look, as misguided as I am, I did all that for you. And let's get into what she did, right? So, Ambessa said herself, that one of the tenets of the Noxian culture is that everyone is equal on the battlefield. So it was hypocritical of her to have a child that was a mage, right? One thing I did like is that they really did try to humanize her character, even if it was just through exposition. Like, okay, yeah, she's this really tough, battle-torn woman, but she went to a town, fell in love with an arcane man, and had this child. And so she sent her away. Now, I do believe part of why she sent her away, just like she said, Mel made her feel weak. Like she felt like she couldn't do certain things with Mel around. But that might not be true. Mostly it was because she didn't want to look like a hypocrite. Mel was probably coming into her magic slowly but surely, and she didn't want the Noxians to notice, and probably tried to usurp her for, you know, being a hypocrite on the throne. So, yeah, but her crying about her son, Keon, and, you know, being a black mother for once in the show, slapping Mel in the face, like, don't you talk to me like that, man. So, I was like, yep, we're all still black. I think personally, Ambessa is a top tier character. I loved her this season. Oh, her brilliance. Her battle strategy, bro. Let's get into it. Her faking them out with a decoy. Her fighting on the field with the gloves and the throwing knives and the... I loved every second of watching her on that battlefield. It was so satisfying. And this was great because on both sides, I was just enjoying both sides. I wasn't sitting here thinking, oh my god, the bad guys, get rid of them. I was like, oh, Ambessa, Ambessa is that bitch on the battlefield. I'm so sorry, God, for cursing, but she is that bee on the battlefield, bro. I was like, oh my god. Taking out 10 men at once. And let's talk about that little fight that she had with Kate and her daughter, bro. She got 2v1'd. And if it wasn't for the black rolls, she might have ended both of them, bro. Like, she had to get 2v1'd by a sharpshooter and the magician, and she was still beating their ass. Ambessa, R.I.P. the real one, Ambessa, bro. Like, she was incredible, bro. Incredible. Like, you can see how she was a ruler for that long. Like, how could you not respect her? You don't gotta agree, but you must respect, okay? I do want to just say, oh my god. I do think that Victor was wrong. You know, I know I said I love Victor, and I do. He was wrong. I just want to say that because it's true. He was wrong. But what I liked about the writing is, even though he was wrong, it was still enjoyable to watch him do what he was doing. It was enjoyable to watch everybody do what they were doing. It was really good writing in that way. So I just want to say that. Now, during the fight, right? Kate gets backstabbed by Maddie. Mel assists her, ending Maddie's life. And, you know, Kate is like freaking out, like, oh my god, Maddie betrayed us. And Bessa gives her one to the gut with a silver ting. And she looks at her and says, desperation is the doorway to oblivion, child. And Bessa don't got nothing but bars. Oh my god. Look. I also want to say, as a Stray Kids fan, Jinx x Stray Kids is my lifeline. That song play, love it. Jinx and Echo pull up is legendary. Okay, it was very cinematic, legendary. I loved it. Plot twist that Ember was a decoy. Victor bin pulled up to Jace and quickly put everything back into the machine that Jace took half an hour to try and pull out. Okay. Look, I do want to say though that I think Kate is very ballsy for trying to fight Ambessa. Obviously, she was doing it to buy time. She didn't think she was gonna win, but she was very ballsy, and Kate has a lot of balls, and I really do appreciate it. I do want to say though that Echo, Jinx, and Vi fighting Warwick is diabolical work, and I will never forgive Singed. Never. Absolutely not. Them having to fight Vander low-key, and I say low-key because Vander's not there anymore, but typically having to fight Vander's corpse, that's diabolical. And it's Singed's fault. Can't believe that. I was so sad watching that. I was like, oh my god, ew, this is terrible. Like, this deplorable work, actually. Deplorable. Now, what I like about the Ambessa Mel Kate fight, plot twist, Mel gives Ambessa to the Black Rose. When I tell you, I was shook. I was like, ooh, the plot twist. She said, you know what, take her. Then she went in and said, actually, my mother is bait, so I could take you. And dealt a blow to LeBlanc. The character's name is actually LeBlanc, allegedly. I don't know if LeBlanc is unalive or just weakened or, you know, beat up a little bit. But LeBlanc did a deadly blow to Ambessa. And I'm pretty sure she got some blowback from Mel blowing up the Black Rose pit. So, Ambessa is no more. R.I.P. the real nigga Ambessa. But it had to be done. Ambessa is too much of a problem. Like, my god. Did you see her fight skills once again? Anyways. Plot twist, Mel levels up again. Absolutely loved seeing that. Her mom, before she croaks, finally gives her the thumbs up. The thumbs up from Puppy. You know, she's finally like, you are a wolf. And I feel like that was very, freeing for Mel. Having her mom say before she passed, probably everything. Now, Echo is, you know, under rubble at the moment. But let's get into Victor and Jace's moment, right? Jace is telling Victor facts. You know, at this point, he's like, bro, this is not saving people. This is not saving lives. You're not doing the right thing here. We thought we were doing the right thing. We were wrong. AKA Heimerdinger was right the whole time. And as short-sighted as he wasn't wrong. He may not always be right, but he never lied. That's one thing about Heimerdinger as well that him and Victor had in common. Let's be for real. Now, Jace has to save Victor from himself. Alright, Victor put himself in a time loop like The Magicians. The show The Magicians, one of my favorite shows. Every attempt that Victor made to help the Earth left him alone, everybody in husky ruin. Alright, only Jace can help Victor see the truth. So that is one of the reasons why him nerfing Victor in the chest upset me, because all he had to do was show Victor. That's all he had to do. But then he came hammer blazing. That upset me still. Now I know it's shock value and it's for the show, and they gave an excuse of him glitching in and out, but I still think it was dumb, and Jace is too smart to be that stupid. I heard somebody say actually that a lot of the smart characters in the show make a lot of dumb decisions, and a lot of the battle-tested characters like Ambessa are the ones moving the chess pieces, like, you know, Ambessa and Singed. I agree with that. Now, by the end, Jace and Victor are either unalived, but I feel like they just transported themselves somewhere. They might not be unalived and or transported themselves somewhere, and I appreciated it. I appreciated Jace saying, we started this together, so we're gonna end this together. And yes, I think it was right. Now, do I ship him with Mel? 1000%. I love him and Mel together. He is at his most bearable when he is with Mel. Sans that whole scene where he was blaming her for everything for no gosh darn reason. I understand, but geesh. Every time something bad happens, he blames the Undercity and or magicians. Like, can you just stop blaming the minorities for every problem you have? You don't even got that much money. Relax. Anyways, his privilege was always popping out. Like, I don't know how y'all like Jace overall all the time. Like, sometimes he'd be annoying. Let's be for real. Sometimes. But I do think that it was poetic for him and Victor to disappear together. It needed to happen. If Victor just sacrificed himself and Jace was left there, it would have given me a bad feeling in my stomach. So yeah, the show did the best thing that they could, cleaning up for those two characters. Because the world that Echo saw, where the world had no hex tech, is because Jace was not around to build it. Remember that. And because Victor did not have Jace to help inspire him. This is also Victor's fault, definitely. But he needed inspiration. He needed a catalyst. Remember. Alright? Jinx, after the blowback of everything, sacrifices herself to save Vi, because Vi was never going to give up on Warwick. Talk about Echo. We're gonna talk about Echo at the end because he is the savior, okay? But at the end, Sabika is now a council member. Apparently she got lines, but they were cut to shorten the episode, even though we were promised the episode was supposed to be long, but okay. People say that Jinx might be alive because they saw a flash of pink going through the ducts, and that's why Kate was holding her monkey bomb looking through the ducts. So also there was a blimp, that airship, and Jinx always said she wanted to go in the airship, so maybe she disappeared or whatever. What's sad to me is that Echo's not with her. I would have loved for Echo to be with her. Not even really just them being dating, even just for her to be like, "Sis, you help me, I want you to come." Just them being friends, but bleeding there. Gosh darn, like, he alone again. Jeez. But whatever. Now I think one of the worst things that ever happened was that Singed got his daughter back. That really upsets me. Oh my god. Also, I think all of those people who ended up in the middle of the bloodshed, they're not alive anymore. Who's to blame? Victor, Jace, Ambessa, Singed. All four of them deserve equal blame for that fight. Because Jace could have stopped some of it. Victor could have not involved himself. Singed could have stayed out the way. And Ambessa should have known better. Because if Victor got everything he wanted, Ambessa, even if you beat up your daughters and got rid of Kate, like, you would have ended up in the hive mind, ma'am. That was your one stupidness. I liked it because it furthered the Victor plot, but common sense is a virtue, ma'am. Let's talk about Echo. King. Best character in the whole show. We love us some Echo. A lot of people said he gave Miles Morales vibes, which, as he should, those are top tier vibes. He gave up a future in a world where everyone he cared about, except for Vi, was still alive. He gave that up to come back and save all these people. He saved Jinx, and it still didn't matter because she ran off and or passed away. He sacrificed everything for everyone else. He is the definition of selfless. I will love him forever, bro. Love him forever. Like, I want him to have all the happiness in the world. I love this character so much. I love all the black characters in the show, honestly. I love all the characters, really. But Echo is the MVP of Arcane. MVP. So, he starts using his time loop powers to get through to Victor, throws that thing in Victor's face, causes an explosion that helps bleed through to the Victor lying within the Messiah android and allows Jade to get through to him. So if it was not for Echo going into an alternate dimension, we would all be in the hive mind. So Echo is the MVP. Echo is literally the boy savior for real. Jinx was right. And he's the best character in the show. High key. This is long, but I'm not gonna go any further. This is my thoughts, boiled down as I could. I was glad I was able to get at least 10 to 15 minutes of the first part of the season. I loved everything. I loved everybody. Do I think it could have been longer? There could have been a season or two more stretching out the plot points. Yes, but it's what's done is done, and I have to rest with that. And maybe you guys had a point. Better it be short and sweet than long and horrible. But I still do believe that this show could have been great long. But I do think there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that stopped it from being long that we're not aware of. So, hopefully, the success of this show will show Hollywood they can make more shows like this. I love how the women were done in this show. I love how the black people were done in this show. We can have women and black women in this show and they're not trash. It's all about writing. Arcane exemplifies what I be complaining about on my channel all the time. Good writing. Good writing. It's not even about who is cast. It's about the direction and the writing. And if the direction and the writing is good, everything else will follow, bro. Anyways, I'm hyped. This is a great adventure. I enjoyed being on it. I will never regret watching this show, even though I'm so sad that it's done. Let me know your thoughts down below. And thank you so much for watching this very long video. And goodbye, my sires. Sue.